home opener came and passed. How was it? How was the atmosphere?
Very good atmosphere. Very good atmosphere. The fans they were there. They were making noise all night. I thought the team did a good job of getting them into it right away with just their tempo, their pace, the way they played. It was exactly what you want from a home opener, minus the
let's not
3
get
points.
into the details yet. I just want overall what it was like. Do you have an experience from the home opener that you liked?
I was field level filming with my camera that night, and I got to walk out with the players as they're doing the processional ahead of national anthems, and it took me back to playoffs in 2021, that vibe against the Portland Timbers with seeing the fans filling the stands, waving their flags. It kind of took me back to that moment. And Drew, you were there. I mean, you've lived it as a player. You saw what that moment is like. And that's a reference point for this club in terms of what a moment that was for everybody to soak in. And they kind of took me back to that a little bit. Talking to a couple of fans that I saw at training today, they felt the same way as well, where it's like it felt a little bit like 2021 playoffs. Granted, the result didn't go our way. We can touch base on that in a bit. But it was a fantastic feeling, to be honest, to see the fans turn out the way they did and show up for 90 minutes.
Yeah. Where was your vantage point, Drew? Where'd you watch?
I watched up high from the first half,
Yeah.
up just outside the press box. The flags are class, by the way. Anytime.
You think they're going to continue that?
I feel like
if I was
it's
a season ticket holder, I might bring my flag with me.
well, yeah. If you can get the fans to do it, that'd be great. Obviously, it's something you know. I don't think you can distribute.
Oh no,
every
yeah,
single
no.
game.
I mean, like you came, keep your flag.
I would
wave
love
it.
that. I would love that.
That would be fantastic.
They should be able to leave it in their seats.
It's like the terrible towel.
It is
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
It is. It just provides a little bit, like down on the field, a little more distraction for the other team, a little more pageantry for the home team.
Yeah, I like it. Well, I was bummed I wasn't there, and
We missed you.
were too.
bummed about the result because it felt like this was a game against Nashville that the Rapids had in the palm of their hands. This was a depleted Nashville squad. They changed formations, playing in a 3-back, 3-5-2. There was a lot of numbers centrally. First 15 minutes was, I think the Rapids started to figure out how to then switch. The second 15 minutes was very different for me with just how the Rapids played. But when you think back about this game, maybe what are some of the themes that stuck out to you, Drew, that you liked and are a good takeaway from that 90 minutes?
You're 100% right about the way Nashville came into play, right? Which teams come into this place and they make adjustments all the time, whether it's a tactical switch, a formational switch, whatever it is. And Nashville, sure enough, okay, they're without Mukhtar, which is going to throw a wrench in their plans no matter what.
Totally. Different game.
Yeah, it would. It would anytime you're missing your talisman. Surge, not on the bench either. So they're going to dare the Rapids to come and break them down. And it was like the first 15 minutes, the Rapids didn't dare to go break them down. The tempo wasn't quite there. The hitting them quickly on transition, getting Georgie on the ball, just didn't work for the first 15 minutes. They didn't look poor, right?
No.
Okay, Zach had to come up with a good save. Moise blocks one off the line there, which
It did feel like right after that double play, it was the Moyes deflection and then it was the Zach save that the Rapids adjusted and grabbed onto the game.
Exactly. And put Nashville in more uncomfortable positions, right? They hit them a little quicker. They were more dynamic. They tried to get passes in behind and just move them around
They
a
also
little
played
more.
wider.
Yeah.
I felt like for the first 15 minutes, it was very narrow. Georgie and Cole were both inside. And then it was a switch. Cole was staying much wider as that left winger, not tucking inside as much. Of course, there were times where he was floating. But I thought that was a really good adjustment by the Pids to know during the game, if you're playing a team that's going to play 5 across the back at times, you have to pull those two center midfielders out of that spot where they want to sit in the middle and try to bring them to the channel, try to bring them out wide, and that's where you saw some switches of play that really started to work. Did you have a big takeaway from the game here, Mike?
I think probably the Rapids, and feel free to chime in here with it, Drew, in terms of possession. I think be a little bit more clinical with the possession. Nashville they did what they could in terms of possession with the limited kind of ability that they had from their players, from the group that they had out there. But the Rapids, with all the talent that they had, I think could have been. There was a few moments you miss a pass here, or maybe the pace on the pass wasn't just right. Like it didn't feel 100% what they know they're capable of doing. So that was the one thing that I think that let the Rapids down in terms of shifting the lines and shifting the Nashville side to side to hopefully create some openings in between the channels, which is where they found opportunities throughout the match. When they were able to find those moments either in transition or break the lines, which I know Connor Ronan did kind of earlier in the match with breaking the lines and having a chance on goal, or close to it at least. that's where the Rapids found themselves most dangerous against Nashville. But Nashville, man, they sat in a deep block, and like it was like running into a brick wall.
Drew, I wanted to ask you about that, because when you get a new coach, especially a coach who's going to, I'm a person who I want defense first. I want to get my defense of organization in place, which I think there was a big jump in this match for that with the Rapids. But the final third is always, no matter what, the last thing to come. And yes, there were goals scored in preseason, but when you're in the middle of MLS season and the stakes are higher, the final third is the hardest thing. You've been in these situations. How many games like this where you feel like it's right there? Like Cole Bassett could have had 2 or 3 goals. I felt like there was a good spot for Georgie. It was like they know where the pass is going to be, but it's just a little off. How much time do you give to creating that final third, completion, I guess?
I hope in the third match it starts to come alive. The third match of the season. No, but
it happens.
It's true. It's true. The final third, and we talked about it after the Portland game. Games are won and lost in the 18-yard box, whether it's your defensive 18-yard box or attacking 18-yard box. And the Rapids had, I believe, 20 box entries in this match. Ooh. Nashville had 6. Right. And so you have to have teeth in the final third. Right. And yes, you have the pieces there. You have the Mihailovic, you have Cole Bassett, you have Kevin Cabral, Johnny Lewis, Calvin Harris. Those are your speedy wingers. Right. Rafa Navarro, Darren Yappy. You got to score goals. You know, you get into dangerous spots. You get these box entries. Omir Fernandez had a really good chance when he came on.
Yes.
The movement, getting into these dangerous spots that the Rapids talk about getting into hasn't been a problem so far. That final piece is the bit that it's the hardest thing to do is score a goal in soccer, right?
Yes.
But goals change games. Yes. Goals defense. Okay, let me get very cliche here. Defense wins championships. Attackers win games.
You would say that,
of course
right?
I would. Of course.
Sounds like a center back.
There was a quote from head coach Chris Armas after the game that I really thought was interesting. He said, "We're tightening the grip as we get better, as we get on the same page, and as we get sharper. We say sometimes slowing down. We need to slow down. Precision over rapidness." Which is kind of ironic there, right? Wow. With the rapidness. Is it an extra touch? Is it slowing down from 100% to 76%? Those are the things we're talking about. I think those are the differences in those types of moments. One of the things that I think stood out was the defensive structure. And he said that not a ton of chances. And I know that Georgie Mihailovic talked about Connor Ronan and Oliver Loraz and what they did centrally in the sixes to mitigate anything from Nashville. I thought the defensive structure really stood out in this match, but I'm going to say it can be easier when a team sits back. You can push numbers into a space, overload that space, which the Rapids did really well, and then pounce on it. Is there a player that stood out to you, or a moment, or a tactic in the match that you really liked?
If there's a player that I could point out, I'm going to do 2. I'm going to cheat here since we typically do 1. So the first one I really...
You're just trying a little harder. I like it.
So the first one I want to point out is Oliver Loraz. And Chris, you mentioned Chris. Chris Armas gave him a lot of praise post-game, and rightly so, because of like a lot of the dirty work sometimes you kind of have to do. Like Connor Rona was able to do a lot of the facilitating of the possession that the Rapids had.
Exactly what we wanted last year.
Yes.
And so we're seeing that.
And so Oliver Loraz doing all the dirty work, picking up second balls, going for 50-50s, and on top of that, him himself being able to possess the ball and distribute and help Connor out with that. Again, this speaks to Oliver's quality, not just on the ball, but all the dirty work he's willing to do. And, you know, with the young guy that has the energy, fits perfectly into Chris Armas' system, where that's the expectation of having that energy and intensity on the ball and off the ball as well. For me, Oliver Loraz was another, outside of Connor Ronan, like I think he's a player that was worth pointing out in this match against Nashville. The second one I'll say, you know, he didn't score. You could see he was frustrated during the game, was Rafael Navarro. He did a lot of thankless work in terms of just being like pushing away center backs, especially with as physical as Nashville center backs are, with Walker Zimmerman, Jack Mayer, Lucas Magnotten. Yeah, so people might say, but why isn't Rafa like not doing his bit, not scoring the goals? Sometimes you're not able to get the service, especially when you're putting crosses in that Nashville was basically clearing all of them out, right? So Rafa sometimes would drop a little bit into the pocket and try to create something. And there was one play I remember very vividly where he held off one of the center backs really well, turned, left him on the ground, and laid a ball off to Cole Bassett, who in the end was offsides, but it showed what Hafa is so capable of doing.
In the first half, huh?
In the first half.
Yep.
It shows what Hafa is so capable of doing. He's just kind of either been unlucky or the service isn't there because of the circumstances. Again, the low block with Nashville in this case. The goals are going to come for Hafa. It's just some of these unique circumstances that have been popping up for him. But I have full faith he's going to get his goals, and once he gets going, he's really going to get going with the goals.
Who stood out to you, Drew?
I thought Georgi Mihailovic showed glimpses of what the Rapids want in this guy. It wasn't perfect. He's still trying to find his legs. It's a new system for him as well. But there was 3 or 4 plays where you think he's going to pass it, and then he takes somebody on, right? And he's so smooth, he almost glides past people at times. And he doesn't look like somebody that can run past a whole lot of people, but he can, right? And then next time, it's a little one touch around the corner or whatever it is. I think Georgi, and it was one of my keys before the match, feed Georgi, right? Like, this is a player, this is a number 10 that you've wanted for a long time. Get him on the ball, let him be greedy, let him be selfish, make these passes he can, score these goals that he can. If he was on the ball 30 times in this game, can we get him on the ball 40 times, 45 times? Because he makes things happen. He frees up Cole. He frees up Hafa. He frees up Connor. And he's fun to watch.
He's really fun to watch. I like all those people. I think one of the concerns I have is Navajo's not getting the ball enough. And it will be different when you're not playing a team playing the tactics that Nashville did. But you bring up a lot of good points on the other side of what he did well. Mihailovic was the player that stood out to me. I am interested to see how him and Cole navigate the spaces that they want to occupy, because, man, there are times where they just want the same space.
Exactly. They both
and
want the same space.
They need to continue. They're doing that every day, figuring out on the training grounds how they occupy space to then free it up for their teammates. So Andreas Maxu ends up getting the oar of the night, and a good defensive performance from him again. And I'm really liking the combination from him and Bombito in the back line. A little calm and a little wild, because I think it's a really good combo. Shall we turn the page of this 1-1 draw for the Colorado Rapids at home? Nice to get that point off at home, though, because I know that the more it lingers, the harder it is to get. They now have no time to really rest, because this is one of our favorite game days of the year. We get it multiple times. Rocky Mountain Cup, here we come. The Colorado Rapids travel to go play RSL. Now, you guys were laughing at me that I was saying, hey, Rapids fans, be prepared for snow on the first day. Well, maybe I jinxed it, because the snow went over the mountains on the other side.
Well done, Jordan.
Yes.
Got him.
Funny game to watch. Hard one to prepare for your next opponent when you have a snowmageddon like that. But this RSL squad has now played 3 games, one more than the Colorado Rapids. They are 1-1-1, and they're dangerous. This is a team who can hit you really fast, Drew. You had a little head shake there. What is your first thought when I say that?
You better be ready for him, because Chicho Arango looks like even a different guy than when he was at LAFC. Diego Luna is another year matured. Andres Gomez suddenly looks like the player that they brought in as what was at the time their most expensive signing, right? And Pablo Mastroeni, as usual, has these guys fighting for every single inch. Listen, you can paint the picture however you want about this rivalry. This Salt Lake team, as much as it pains me to say, anytime I have to say it, is a very good and dangerous team right now that are playing with a lot of confidence, regardless of the weather last week, beating LAFC 3-0.
I was actually just talking to Crookham, and he said, I feel like that game was actually a microcosm of who they are. Like, we don't really care. You come to our field, we're not going to give you an inch to sniff with. You've got to experience now, Mike, a few different Rocky Mountain Cups. It's about time the Rapids get on the right side of it. How do they manage that?
I mean, just bringing the same intensity. Drew mentioned it just a bit earlier ago that Pablo embodies what he embodies as a coach. He showed that as a player as well, and he transmits that onto the players, and you see it, they reciprocate that. They high intensity. They're all over you. They're like gnats. They just will not bother you when they're defending, and when they have the ball that they can catch in transition. Something to be mindful with on the Rapid side in terms of RSL if they get caught in possession and in dangerous parts of the field. But the guys know, the Rapids know that they need to be ready and up for this. And this will be Chris Armas's first Rocky Mountain Cup. Being in the locker room post game on Saturday, Cole mentioned. I'll paraphrase here. This is a very important game. This is a very, very important game for the club, and we need to change the history on this and get a result out at Real Salt Lake. This is a very important game for the club, for the fans, for everybody. So they know that they have their work cut out for them leading up to the weekend.
I have a feeling the paraphrasing was due to language. Maybe not, but I like that. And I think that that's really important for a homegrown, someone who knows this very well. He's been playing against these types of teams or this club since he was young. It is going to be a much different game than what the Rapids just faced against Nashville. I feel like in a way, these teams play very similarly. RSL now I feel like Pablo Mascheroni has tweaked a few different things in how he wants to play. He's playing out of 4-2-3-1. The Rapids are playing out of the same formation. Both teams want to utilize a high press in moments, but I think one of the things that differentiates RSL right now is how quickly they can get after you with Chicho Arango. He is always on the back shoulder. So if I'm a center back, I'm thinking, I better know where he is at all times because they want to go quick. I have a feeling this game is going to actually play out more like when RSL played St. Louis, if you guys caught in much of that game. Very similar styles with St. Louis and the Rapids, and when they want to press, when they want to go, how they want to get forward. There's going to be space in this one. Who manages transition moments best? And I'm not saying go. Because there will be times to go quickly. I'm saying the ball transitions and you go from defense to offense. There might be some times where you need to go from 100 to 75. Slow the game down a little bit. Because if you get caught up in that with RSL, I think that will turn this game into more of a dogfight than a football game.
Yeah, who manages the transition moments in this match is probably the team that's going to give themselves the best opportunity, barring, a lucky bounce here, there, whatever it is. You're going to give yourself a good opportunity if you can manage transitions. I would say, just like you said, Jordan, can the Rapids at times slow the game down a little bit? Take the crowd out of it. Early in the game if you can. That doesn't mean sit in a deep block and let these guys come at you, right? No, it's the ball goes out of bounds, take my time to go and retrieve it and throw it in. A foul's called, stand on the ball, let us get organized because their crowd's going to be into this like they always are. They have players now all over the field that can hurt you. The Rapids do as well, right? But you have to be able to manage, the times to slow it down, put your foot on the ball, and now work them out of spaces that they don't want to work themselves out of. But I do think more so than anything, it's the first 5-10 minutes of this game are going to be so key. You might as well put boxing gloves on the first 5 or 10 minutes and go and make it a street fight because you have to establish your physical dominance and say we're not going to let you do what you want to do. I think this is a match even this early in the season where you get your popcorn ready because I know the Rapids are ready exactly for the reason Mike just said. Cole Bassett stood up, 15 minutes after the final whistle of the Nashville match and said, we've got a big one coming up. They came in a bit dejected, feeling like they had dropped 2 points, which fair enough. He was already focused on the next match because this is always a massive match. And for Cole to say something like that, everybody responded to it. This will be a good one. Yeah, this will be a good one.
For RSL, no Ojeda, who plays as a holding mid for he got 2 yellow cards and therefore a red in their last game against LAFC.
Threw a bunch of snowballs.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
I think the matchup that I'm looking forward to most is Sam Vines against Gomez, and for the Rapids to be aware that this is something. They're going to need help defense on that side because Gomez has showed some ruthlessness in his 1v1 attacking skills to get after an outside back time and time again. On the other side of things, for Navajo, I think this is actually going to be a really good matchup for him against the center backs because they are physical. There is going to be an opportunity for him to pull apart these center backs, maybe bring them into the midfield and allow other players to get in behind. So I'm excited for this match. I think we always are for.
It's a derby. It's the biggest game. It's the one you circle on your calendar and you
derby.
You say.
Yep.
Is that the right terminology, or am I out of place here?
No, I think it is.
100%.
No, I was just speaking out loud. I think that's great. It's a rivalry, and it's about time we get some wins in the Rocky Mountain Cup, huh?
We do not like going there, and we do not like when they come here. And maybe the dynamic has shifted and changed a little bit over time. I remember when I first got here in 2009, man, like a security guard stopped me outside the stadium the weekend before and was like, you know who we're playing next weekend, right? And I was like, Salt Lake? And they were like, yeah. And you could just tell like what it meant even to, you know, and so it doesn't matter what the form is, what time of the year it is. All week you're focused on this team, and you know what it means to the fans, and because it means that much to the fans, it means that much extra, and it better mean that much extra.
I can already like feel Chris Armas pregame talk in the next episode of Elevate, because I feel like these are the games he lives for.
derbies, man.
Yeah, he loves those.